Welcome to Business the Shamanic Way Conversations. I'm your host, Whitney Mullings, a soul brand shaman. You will hear from shamans in business and how they create profitable businesses with flow, ease, and grace. Maybe you could do the same, incorporate spirituality into your brand and message, and a fuller expression of who you are, unfiltered. Your journey to have it all in both life and business starts now. Thanks for joining, and thanks for being here today, Kelly. My first guest, and she's also one of my mentors in womb awakening work, and really dive into divine feminine. Kelly comes from a banking background, also, a very successful banking background, because at one point you transitioned to opening a retreat center in Ibiza. So we're talking about multi six-figure business that you actually started, and along your path, and it wasn't bringing you the happiness that you were hoping for, and burnout and all that, and had sent you on the path of reawakening. And it's around that time that's where your divine feminine work was birthed. Without further ado, do you mind sharing a little bit about that experience of yours, and how do you come about in doing the business that you do today?
Yeah, that would be my pleasure. Yeah, so I worked in banking in London for years, in investment banking for a big multinational bank. I had a great job, I had a great salary, had a beautiful apartment in London, everything on paper, my life should have been fantastic. But I just had this deep yearning, like, is this it? Like, is this what life's about? It just didn't feel fulfilling. So I worked with a coach back then, and it was 10 years ago in May. So we are talking 10 years now. So it's been 10 years. I've just realized that because it was May 2011 that I moved here. I decided to take the plunge, and I used all my savings, remortgaged my apartment, and I bought a wellness center in Ibiza. So I live in Ibiza now. Ibiza was always my heart home. There wasn't a question of where else to live really when I knew I was going to leave London. So I moved here, and it was a real entrepreneurial, typical hero story. The business wasn't what we thought it was that we were buying. We kind of got a bit ripped off. That was a lot of heartache, but really connecting to gratitude, to intuition. We then went on to make it a very successful business. Like, we're still in all of the press, all of the newspapers, lots of celebrity clients, and like you say, multi six figures every year. And it was during that time that I got burnt out, and I was doing the same pattern of working really hard, but working hard in my own business, right? And so then actually it was during that time that I got woken up one night in a dream, and this voice said, "It's your purpose to awaken people's sacral chakra." And I had no idea what that meant. I was doing like fitness, detox retreats, physical. Anyway, that led me on this whole path, and I went into womb awakening. And as I realized, as I started to heal the things happening in my womb, because I'd had a miscarriage and I was in my late 30s and I didn't have any other kids, and I thought that's my last chance. It was during that healing that this divine feminine work started to awaken in me. And I was so surprised that within my womb space lies this deep, pure connection to source consciousness, to the divine feminine. And that's been my life's work now. And I'm absolutely in love with what I do.
Before you got this dream, were you already in like practicing energetic work at that
Not
time?
at all. No, and things like this, and gratitude journaling, but yeah, nothing else.
So fast forward to today, Right. Can you describe a little bit in terms of the womb awakening and the feminine leadership work that you do with people? Like how have you incorporated that into your business today?
Yeah, I mean, I call myself now an activator of the divine feminine, and I do it through the womb space. So for me, the womb space is the sacred temple, the chalice of our divine feminine energy. And our divine feminine energy is largely gone through hundreds of years of conditioning and favoring a masculine view of the world, a masculine way of being in business, in education, in all levels of society. And so when you start to connect to the womb space, it's like there's a series of initiations and activations that happen where you start to claim that sacred womb space as your temple, as a temple of communion with the divine feminine within you. So I don't teach about goddesses or anything like that. It's really about connecting to the goddess within. And so then when you do that, you have your own stream of wisdom and your own path unfolds before you. It's nothing that you've learned or someone's told you from a reading or anything. It comes from you. And so it creates this deep gnosis, this deep ownership of that inner magnificence and light that you are.
Well, I experienced that firsthand. For me, for instance, to truly experience what embodiment is and really access the own innate wisdom, and it's just such powerful work, and it just made a difference in every area, right?
Yeah, it touches everything because you come, for me, it's that embodiment. You come fully online, like your spiritual self, your sacred self, your divine self, which carries that big light, that big wisdom, and that power to birth you and your divine gifts to the world. So, yeah, for me, it touches everything. That's been my experience in it as well.
How would you interpret business the shamanic way?
I must say, Whitney, when you came up with this, I was really excited because it makes so much sense. There's so much out there about doing business, like especially in the coaching, spiritual helping world, funnels, lead magnets, websites, all this stuff that we need to have. And I think, business the shamanic way is actually from you. What is your unique wisdom wanting to come through, and how does your soul want to bring that through? What feels right? And then realizing that business is so energetic, so it's not just about doing a tick list of funnels and websites and blah blah. It's about how are you feeling and what is your energy vibration saying, because you can write amazing copy, but if your energy isn't saying it, like if you are carrying an energy of low self-worth, then no amount of great words is going to hide that. And I really feel now more than ever the veil is being lifted, right? We can just feel people, even if we think we're not spiritual or shamanic. People are feeling people, so we really feel that. So it's about owning your vibration and being responsible for it.
That is so good, because as you're explaining that, and this is coming from someone with your background with like the traditional corporate, career, and then brick and mortar business, and it brought you into the same pattern to where you are today, doing this work and building the business like in the shamanic way.
Yeah, that's why what you describing it that way makes so much sense, because yeah, like, who says that we have to do, I don't think it's just about being and thinking. I think you have to take action, but it's about what is that energy vibration of that action coming from.
Do you run into that burnout anymore?
No, I don't, because I'm really connected to who I am and what I need. And I've got rid of all those beliefs about what I need to do to be successful. So I really just live my business and do my business that feels good for me. And there's no question of burnout or anything like that.
This is what I've learned in building my business too with your help. It's really how to find that ease. That's what I would call ease, right? And
Real
create
ease,
your flow.
and doing it gracefully, which is hard because sometimes we try and do ease and we're like, oh, we're going to be easy so we can have a successful business. But we're not actually in ease. We're just telling ourselves we have to be in ease. But it's like you said, it's embodiment. Really being in ease and allowing. It's a physical act of embodying a vibration rather than just thinking, oh, I'm going to give myself 20 minutes of self-care now. That's my easy done.
I'm so glad you touched on that, because this is one question that I thought you'd be a perfect person to ask. So, I think a lot more of us are awakening, like you mentioned, like we could feel things easier. And so I think this is like the talk on the online space right now. Everybody is into divine feminine. And we saw that phase, especially in the online space, because that's kind of where I'm more in tune with. Like there was that wave of woman empowerment movement, right? So there is that phase of like hustle, rinse, and repeat. Literally, that's what the model was, is to be like empowered and to be like your own woman. And then it's funny now because it's totally shifted. Those people who sing those same tunes are the one who is like talk a lot about ease and finding your own flow and live in your divine feminine. So in your opinion, like how I guess to someone who knows this is the right path for them as well, to be more in their defined feminine so that they could create a business similar to how you create yours now, would you suggest, first of all, for someone to bring more into their defined feminine? And then second is there's just so much noise. Everybody is saying the same thing, but how do they determine what would be the voice of the distorted? Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because there's a lot of, like you say, so many people talking about divine feminine. And for me, what I'm seeing, because I'm on the online world, I'm seeing so many posts dressed up as divine feminine and they're really distorted. And for me, that is because the teachers, they're not embodying it. Okay, like you can read books, there's loads of books about divine feminine now, and you can read it and it all sounds good, but if you are not embodying it, it means that your energy, all of our energy, has become distorted, masculine and feminine. And so if you have not actively worked to clean and cleanse all of those distortions so that you can come into your original blueprint, then what you are talking is distortion. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm saying I'm working on those distortions, and so how to tell the difference then, if I answer that question first, is it's really about trusting yourself. If something feels icky or weird, then trust that. Like I have read some things about how you should submit to the masculine, and this can sound very divine, submit to your man so he provides for you. But I want to say, be careful, because these energies are in union. There is no master or slave. They each have different qualities and they're in such a beautiful union. That there isn't a master over another. There isn't one that submits. They each have a different quality that when they bring together, they're in union. And so that for me is a distortion of that receiving that the feminine does. But it goes into distortion when it's about submitting. So my simplest guide would be, if it feels icky, just trust yourself, because there's normally something there. If it feels too extreme, then it could be a distortion. But distorted feminine is really coming from the multi-lifetime, multi-generation diminishment of the feminine principle. So I'm not talking about females, I'm talking about the feminine principle. And the feminine principle is being, is receiving, is remembering that we're one, that we're connected to all. And so that diminishment of the feminine principle has been done by taking action, being busy, logic and thinking over intuition, me, myself, and I building my empire. So all of these things have diminished the feminine on multi levels. And so when we experience that, then arises this distorted feminine, which is in competition with a perceived lack of resources. And so that is what distorted feminine is for me. She's trying to fill herself up from external things, submission to a man, getting a king, all of these things in order to feel full of herself. But actually it's about connecting and embodying within. You asked me also how to bring them into the divine feminine. So how to bring them, how, if you're on the path and you want to bring in the divine feminine, I think that was the question, right?
Yeah.
So I would say it's my path, my learning is it's a physical embodiment. So it's not about connecting to a goddess oracle card and, you know, maybe you've got Mother Mary there or Isis, and I'm not saying they're bad, I use those, but that is a disembodiment. So it's about embodying and connecting and remembering that you have the divine feminine within you. You are divine by your birthright. It's not like you have to make yourself divine. So then why aren't you in your divine feminine? Because you have distortion. So it's about cleansing and releasing all of the distortions that have got you away from your original blueprint. You don't have to do anything to be divine. You are. But it's about remembering that you are and clearing all the distortions that have made you forget that you are.
It just comes back to what you said earlier. It's like so many people are talking about, oh, like you need to have ease in your business, and they'll say different ways. And I think you and I talked about this too. It's being in the distorted feminine and trying to bring in the divine feminine.
Exactly. Like, so use that example, ease. You need to bring more ease in your life to be successful. So then your energy is like, I want more money. Okay, so I'm going to be easy in my business. Okay, so here's my schedule. I'm going to put in half an hour a day to be easy. That is so manipulating the creative force of the divine. Like that is manipulation, which is classic distorted feminine. And so that is not divine feminine. Divine feminine is being it. How can you be ease? Well, isn't that a question? How can I be ease? I don't know, because I've never been brought up with ease. I don't know what ease looks like. I've had a lifetime of fear and lack and stress. So it's about undoing all of that so that you can be ease. And that's divine feminine. It's embodiment. It's being. It's not doing. And so being ease is hard. Funny enough, it's really hard because you have had a lifetime of stress, lack, fear, and abundance. So being ease is not about 20 minutes a day to manipulate the divine, creative, all that is structure. It's about realigning yourself with the ease that you are in your divine blueprint.
Oh, that is so well said, because I saw a meme and it just perfectly kind of like encapsulate all that you just explained. It's like I get more stressed for not taking of the things that makes me stressed, but I'm not supposed to be doing them.
I want to see that meme. That sounds perfect. Exactly. It's another way for us to be perfect. You see?
Yeah.
Rather than being it. So it's another stress. Like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough manifesting. I'm not in the right energy. I'm not doing enough journaling. I'm not doing enough meditation. Like, no, that's really not it at all.
Oh yeah. From experience, there was that time I was like, but what's happening? I carve out that time to meditate. Why I'm not getting content is the greatest way to embodiment. It's really the clearing. Until you have done those clearing work with me, I'm like, I had no idea that I had this rage that I had stuffed down for so long.
That's it. We don't know it's there. Like when people do this work, they're like, I had no idea I needed this work, but oh my goodness, like I needed this work so much. Like, oh my, that's what so many clients say.
It's true, and everybody should have it because we were not born into being in tune with what our blueprint is. Like, even halfway through our working together, like, I think I remember asking you, like, who is good role model? Because I don't really know. Like what it looks like, how being a divine feminine looks like, and who was in that. It was it was it was hard to think of anybody as an example. Like there's nobody to model in full embodiment.
I think with distorted feminine, the first thing is to give yourself a break, because distorted feminine, which is manipulation, competition, fear, it comes from trauma. So it's not because you're a bad person. And that's why so many people think, oh, I'm not in distorted feminine, or they can't even allow themselves because it feels very judgmental. Like, I'm jealous. I'm manipulative. Oh my goodness, I'm this, I'm that. They're very dark shadows that we don't want to own, especially if we're in the spiritual light world. We're meant to be all love and light, baby. We can't be any of these things. So the first thing is to really just allow yourself, if you're feeling that, because it's coming from trauma. It's not coming because you're a bad, wicked person, as we've been brought up. The woman's the original sin, the wicked one. It's because you've been traumatized by conditioning that puts all of your value, all of your worthiness, all of your love in external authority figures. And they are the ones that tell you how worthy you are, how valuable you are, if you're lovable or not, and if you're important or not. That's where it comes from. So when you realize that, then, well, how I do it is a series of clearings to clear all of that distortion and call back all of that beautiful feminine energy that has left you when you have been traumatized for being in your feminine energy, which I mean being intuitive, being connecting to all that is, which might be labeled as crazy, whimsical, off with the fairies, lazy, doing nothing.
Or spaced out. That was one of them for me that you have helped me uncover. Like you can't be spaced out, like snap back into it.
Yeah. Get back into your masculine, girl.
Yeah.
You should be doing something.
Yeah, don't be lazy or you're gonna turn out to be a bum.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much again, Kelly. Can you share with the viewers how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in working with you? Because the clearing work, it's so powerful, and to call back in and getting in touch with your own wisdom, like that's really the magic that you teach. It's not about pulling the deck from the goddess oracle.
Yeah. So you can get in touch with me on Facebook. I'm Facebook/Kelly Morgan Coach, and it's the same on Instagram, Kelly Morgan Coach. So you can get to me either of those ways, or on my website, which is kellymorgan.tv.
I'll include the links for sure.
Oh, well,
So
thank
thanks
you so
again,
much. So
Kelly.
good to speak to you, Whitney, and well done on this. I'm really loving it. I can't wait to see the other interviews.